Bye bye.
All right.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. And then there was just me. Y'all are still stuck with me. You'll just have to make do with that. Just give me a second to finish setting up here, though I'm going to get up for a quick second here, potentially, as well. Yeah, because the ads are starting, so... Take a moment while the ads are running to get up and do whatever y'all need to do. I'm going to do the same for a second here before we go into Ape Escape for getting checks for the archipelago I was in. I'll explain that all when I come back in a second. Let me just give you something to hear while I do that. Still muted. There you go. Enjoy the Ape Escape music. It is fun music. Okay, let me just finish getting connected to the archipelago and we'll be good to go here. Now it is still... Oh, right, I didn't do that right. There's many steps involved in doing this properly. But for anybody who is not familiar, basically what I'm going to be doing here is making progress on an archipelago, which is a big set of randomizers where all of the games that are being played are all connected together and everything is mixed amongst the various games that are being played. In this particular case, it is Ape Escape, but I also have other games involved in this. I just needed to get myself connected to the server before I could actually properly make any progress. Otherwise, it would break things, and I don't want to break things. That would be unhelpful. For anybody interested in seeing, I will also be putting the tracker on screen for y'all since I am now alone. There is a call still going, but it's a small call, so I'm not going to worry about it today. Just enjoy Spike being weird over there in the demo while I do this right quick. This way y'all can see what is getting sent. Yes, I know I already have that in use. I don't care. Use it again. There we go. Because this will make it easier to explain how these things work, but I'm going to trim it so that you don't see more than you need to see. And shrink it down so it'll fit in here nicely. Oh, so you don't need to see that part either. Just give me a second to adjust it, because it's gonna be a little finicky. Behold, it is giant. No, it is no longer giant. I meant to do this before we started, and then I got concerned about Steam issues. But as you can see, Evie, another player in the Dragonpelago, is currently sending a lot of traps out, so... Whatever she's playing at the... Oh yeah, that's her Ori game that she's playing right now. the checks she's been receiving in there has been sending traps to other people, which traps will do what they say on them to people. In the case of the bee trap, it will send bees. Ice traps freeze the player that the ice trap went to. It's a whole thing. Okay, now that everybody is free from the ads and everybody can hear me properly, though, I will give a more proper explanation of what we're doing and how all this works. So, for starters, this is Ape Escape, a game about collecting monkeys that have broken free after their leader, Spectre, gained intelligence through a special helmet the professor designed. The professor being the one who also has provided us with these nifty gadgets we have, like the RC car, the magic punch, the time net, and the stun club. Our job is to go collect all the monkeys that have been scattered throughout time and bring them back here. Now, as to the Archipelago that it's all connected to that I was talking about, for those who are unfamiliar with how Archipelago works, basically, if I catch a monkey in this game, it might turn into an item for one of the players playing Ocarina of Time, or perhaps my own Mario 64 item. Anything like that. Basically, all of the 50+ games that have been mixed together here, any of those games could receive an item from me anytime I catch a monkey. Any of those games potentially have the other gadgets that I need, not to mention the Spectre coins I need to unlock my final battle and finish this game. When a game is finished in Archipelago, it will release anything that hasn't been collected already. So, ideally, you just finish your game as quickly as you can, but sometimes that doesn't work out. But the main reason I've popped up here into Ape Escape is we got some more worlds. Specifically, we have these 3 stages here, and oh no, we got yet another world at some point, which is not going to be doable, I don't think. The Dimension X stages tend to need a lot. But before I go into the new places, there is one specific one I'm going to do. Oh no, that was my other reality. The one I want is actually a new one. It is over here, I believe.
You're heading...
Because I somewhat remember where certain things are in this game, but I don't remember all of them. I think this is the stage I'm thinking of. No, this is not the stage I thought it was. Then again, I do spawn in a random place within the stage, so it could easily be the right stage in the wrong place. Now, notable thing about this game is everything you see me doing, like attacking with the net and everything, attacking with the club, that's all based on the right thumbstick, because this was a very early PS1 game where using analog sticks was a very new concept. So they were very excited to show everybody, hey, you could do this with thumbsticks, look at how cool it is. Varying degrees of success there. Now, how do I deploy the RC car again? There we go. Use the stick to deploy the RC car. Now, what this is good for is getting through small spaces like this and pressing buttons. I reacted way too slow, but I still made it. But yeah, this is one of the stages that uses the RC car the most, if I remember. This isn't quite the one I was looking for, as there was a very early monkey to grab in one of the stages using said RC car. It also collects items, which is handy, so I can have it go get the Spectre token that's over there. You know, if I could see what I'm doing, because my own HUD is blocking my view, but, you know, that's fine. That's not important, right? You don't need to see what you're doing. That's overrated. It also would help if I was a little better at driving this thing, but I'm used to driving in games with my left hand, not my right hand, so it's a little bit of an acquired taste. There we go. You would think that was not what I wanted, but unfortunately, or fortunately, that is exactly what I wanted. Some monkeys have rockets, like this jerk. Is depending on what color pants they're wearing is what you can expect that monkey to be doing. Red have heavy weapons and are dangerous. Blue are sneaky and try to run away for the most part. I believe it's yellow is just a standard monkey and doesn't really do anything interesting. And then there's green, which I think are just good physical fighters, and they just try to punch you a lot. Something along those lines. And now we're back here. Where if I bring out the car again, I can press this button and go get this guy. Yeah, he's got a gun, so I gotta be somewhat careful.
Oh no!
And that's why I need to be careful. We also sent bombs to Argo, who's playing Ocarina of Time. So all of that chasing was just for some single-use bombs that are quite literally just the basic bombs you get in Ocarina of Time. Not exactly exciting, but that's how checks go sometimes. Sometimes you just find nonsense. This is where we died right over here, by the way, which is why I just launched myself down here. Ambush this monkey. Which is Argo's Light Medallion. That might actually be one of the medallions he needs to get into Ganon's castle and finish his game, so that's actually very important. Because that activates the Rainbow Bridge to cross over into Ganon's castle. Depending on if he even has those set as a requirement. Because some people will just skip that entirely. Hey, no. You're supposed to run away from the car, not punch the car and explode it. I get you. I'm gonna get you. Run from me, monkey. Run! Run! Got him. Sage's Crystal Staff for Viola, who's playing Dark Souls 3. I will mention what an item is good for if I know what it's good for. I do not know every game that's involved here. I know what games they are, but I don't know a lot about them.
Oh no!
These little things are a nightmare. I'm going to be getting bullied by tiny things a lot. Just don't be surprised by that. Yeah, you'll also see people logging in and out a bunch because people tend to switch which game they've got loaded rather than having them all open. Usually when I do this, I have them all open because none of what I do takes too much CPU, but some of them can be a little much on the old system. Can I... I think I can jump on these barrels, but it is much better if I had the Sky Flyer. Yeah, no, I am going to have a rough go here. But I can just climb up here by doing this, so we'll probably just do this. Except I can't make it all the way up, so that's a problem. Yeah, I probably should just come back for that guy with the Sky Flyer. It'll be much easier. Okay, we'll just leave this stage for the moment. See what other checks I can grab. Because considering anybody's game could be relying on any item from any of mine, I need to be as active as I can afford to be in trying to find items for people. Since we have no idea what any of these are going to be unless somebody calls for a hint. Which, as you get checks, you can get hints available to you based on whatever percentage is set by the host. Which in this case, I believe it's like 10% of your checks or something like that. Actually, no, Argo said something about getting 20 hint points, so... whatever would make 20 points available is the amount we have for this one. Those mailboxes are also important to me because, as you saw there, that one sent out resource efficiency swarm hosts to Wintergust's StarCraft. StarCraft 2 specifically, for those interested in keeping tabs on that idea. You want to use the magic punch if you have it against those guys, because the club takes multiple hits to deal with them. It can be a real nuisance. You know, I should have checked. Turns out there wasn't a bridge there. There was the sides of a bridge, but not the bottom of a bridge. Who knew? Eevee has had to reload. Some games, when you die, also relogs you in. Like, when we hop to Lunacid, which is probably the other thing I'm going to be doing checks in today, since that got broke free recently, you will see me end up disconnecting and reconnecting a lot, because every time you die, it reconnects for that game. This one's not bad about that. I don't have the slingshot. That's not happening. I would need either Skyflyer or slingshot. Skyflyer so I could make the jump, or the slingshot to shoot the button. And I have neither, because somebody out there has it. I have no idea who, because I haven't looked at any hints yet. This is one of those things, when you have enough things to do, there's not really a reason to call for hints. Don't worry about the world phasing through the walls like that, by the way. That's probably just emulation doing a funny. Sir? Fear my twirling power. You cannot touch me while I twirl. Now you died. Oh, that's a shame for you. With where I've spawned, I think until I can get across that area we were looking at, though, I think I'm stuck on this stage, so we'll take our one check and leave. Ordinarily, you would start outside that fenced-off area I was in, and all the buttons are on the outside of that. So it would be much more viable to do. I unfortunately started inside, because I chose random starting locations because I thought it'd be funny. And it is funny how often it backfires on me.
Let's go!
I guess that one isn't. There we go, that one is a check. Max AP increased to Kingdom Hearts that Dyla's playing. Because there is 2 Kingdom Hearts, both being played by Dyla, I do believe. Like, I wasn't kidding when I said there's 50 games involved here. 4 of which that I'm playing. My other games are, as I mentioned, Lunacid, Mario 64, and Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. We're not going to be seeing Dawn of Sorrow at all today, because it has nothing to use. Gotcha. Forbidden Weapon Zerg mission key for Wintergust. Once again for same StarCraft 2. Because his mission keys are ways for him to actually start missions, because his missions are all randomized. Same with Argo, who also has a StarCraft 2 game in here somewhere. He is the reason we'll actually be able to play some of our games today. Is that StarCraft 2 Seed gave me, I believe that's where my side flip for Mario came from, as well as something else that I do not recall off the top of my head. If it all sounds very complicated, that's because it is. But if people need more detailed explanations, you are more than welcome to ask. I have done a fair few of these, so I can probably answer most questions. I just might not think of all of the explanation off the top of my head, because you start to kind of get used to it after a while, and you don't always think of everything that people might not understand. Oh wow, I expected to slide more over here. Oh, there's wind, that's why. The wind just kicks up now and then, it seems. Sick trick. Just not what I wanted to do. I just want to get over here. Okay, it seems like the wind is no longer a factor here. These are cookie dispensers. They give me more cookies, which are my health. Cookies save lives. Okay, there's a spinner here. You hit these to spin them and they will do something. This one in particular lowers this platform, which means this is one I can do. A lot of them require a hula hoop that makes you go faster in order to be viable. Though I've learned that you can use the slingshot to hit those and have them count. Hello, sir. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Security keycard C for time spinner. That's actually very important, because that opens many doors in time spinner. Well, depending on the keycard. That one I think doesn't do too much, but it is helpful still. I ether to a different time spinner because Astral Hammer is playing 3 different time spinner games and Power Wash Simulator for those keeping score. Another one of the ones playing 4 games. is you can have as many instances of the same game as you want connected at the same time. There's a bunch of people who have done like 4 Legend of Zelda games, like 4 Ocarina of Times, etc. together and things like that. There we go, another Spectre token. Harbinger of Oblivion for Wintergust. I have a lot of his mission keys in here, apparently. So that'll be huge for him, because I assume he's done all of his missions that he can do, probably. So more mission keys means more things he can do. Which, there's a funny thing that happened with Wintergust in particular. He had an Ocarina of Time game end on its own before he even got to load into it, because he had a Triforce hunt set up that ran out of Triforce pieces it needed before he loaded the game. So, by the time he finished collecting the checks, he was done with his game and could move on to his other games. And we've also had at least one other player accidentally send out their stuff, so that's another game completed. And a few other ones have just been able to make a lot of progress, so that's why we have as much as we do. A lot of us have also participated in a funny thing called random progress numbers. Your seed is determined by a progression scaling number that is set in your settings when you're setting this up. We allowed the host, Argo, to randomize those. He just had a random number generator, basically, just pick the numbers for us. And some of us got very good numbers, some of us got very bad numbers. Like my Dawn of Sorrow that I mentioned we're not going to see today, it got a 15. Now, 15 already probably doesn't sound great, but it's 15 out of 100. So you can guess that that's really bad. That means very important items for that game, way out in the middle of nowhere somewhere. Not gonna see those until very far in. Craft materials for Kingdom Hearts. I believe that's for a specific world within Kingdom Hearts, but I don't know because I really don't know Kingdom Hearts very well. Can I do this? Yes, I can. This is where we started, so this was a mistake. I saw the big monkey head and I'm like, ooh, maybe I can knock that over and do something. But I think we're done in this stage. Without getting more gadgets, there's gonna be a lot of stages that I'm just gonna leave. Okay, that was some repair powder for Dark Souls 3. That's not that exciting, but might come in handy someday. Ruins we were in already. Crumbling Castle, I think, might need a bunch of gadgets, but we'll go see. Oh yeah, this is another one where I'm supposed to catch specters, so this is a very late stage. But it does have 20 monkeys, so I might be able to find some of them and catch them here. How loud is this? It's actually fairly loud. Let me bump this down a little bit. I didn't realize quite how loud it was, because in my head it sounds okay, aside from sound effects like entering the stage can be a little rough. That should be a bit better. Actually, I think I want to just ride this down. Nope, I can't jump off of those. Never mind, that was a mistake. Regret. How? Oh, there was a Spectre token up there too, huh? That's a shame. The reason why I wanted to get to that guillotine is I know there's a monkey up there. You can hear him hopping around above me. Nope, I can't reach that. Okay. I probably could if I jumped earlier, but there's a bit of a angle issue at times. Is for those wondering why sometimes my movement may seem stupid, it's because I have to use the D-pad to move the camera. The sticks are both for movement and for attacking, like mentioned before, and they chose the D-pad as your means of aiming the camera around. Is the shoulder buttons, which some games use for camera, are for jumping. And for centering the camera as well as doing first-person camera, which is only good for certain items, like the slingshot, which we still don't have. There we go, down he goes. Wasn't even powered by a monkey or anything, by the way. Just had a weird ghost in it that was piloting the armor. Castle's haunted, you know? Big old crumbly castle, expected to be haunted. Pretty par for the course. Okay, the bat just kind of fucked off. We take those. We don't need to worry about that. That is the other door, I guess. Yeah, up here. Usually those vertical buttons won't reset. The ground buttons need weight on them all the time. Or they will reset. Most enemies will also drop cookies in case you need to heal. Just, you know, slap an enemy around and they'll turn into a cookie for some reason. Now, I can't actually catch any monkeys in the water, so I really hope I don't run into any that I need to catch specifically underwater. Is ordinarily the water net is just something you have by default and is one singular item. In the randomizer this game has, you can split it up into multiple items that you need to have people find, and I foolishly did that. Because I thought it'd be funny. Because that's what all my choices for this have been, basically, is, will this be funny? Then yes. Ignoring the fact that I've never actually beaten this game before. 2 sand bottles, okay. Those are actually kind of useful for Time Spinner. Not, like, vitally useful things, but kind of useful. Now, you're not getting to that pad next to you, because that lets you get into a UFO. That was Grime for Power Wash, which is less than useless. But that's how it goes sometimes. Power Rush has a lot of junk items and a lot of checks. Like, everything you wash in Power Wash Simulator, like, literally everything that goes ding in that game is a check. So it gets a ridiculous amount of items inside it, and it also, as a consequence, has to receive a lot of random junk nonsense for the most part. Needs a few hundred job well dones to unlock their go mode, more or less. Go mode being they can go finish their game, for those who have not heard that term before. Hence why it's called go mode, is you can go finish the game. Let me see what these pings were. Is there something important? Oh, okay. Not something I need to immediately concern myself with. Let me just cleanse those pings so I don't see it again and go, what? Oh, Cassius found his own small key for the Dark Palace. I don't know if he actually randomized his Link Between World keys or not. That's one of the 2 things Cassius is playing, Link Between Worlds and Metroid Zero Mission. Eevee, who I mentioned before, is playing Ori, as mentioned, and both Pokemon Explorers of the Sky, I think it was, and Pokemon Black-White, I believe was the other one. There are multiple people playing Pokemon Emerald, and Wintergust is also playing another Pokemon Black-White copy that's out there. Speaking of, actually on cue, that's the Pokemon Black-White that Winter's playing right there that just got that Pecha Berry. I did not plan that because I don't know what the items are, but it's very funny that that happened. Where is... I hear this monkey. Where the hell is he? He must be, like, running around up above me somewhere, just freaking out that I exist. Because he can sense Spike is near and wishes to capture him. I don't think I'm getting up there, though. Because I have to do this to extend the platform, and I don't think I'm getting up there in time for tracks. But I'm gonna try. Oh, wait, no. Actually, I got there faster than I thought. Or this is going down slower than I thought. Take your pick on which. Now I gotta dodge the Donkey Kong barrels. And that awards me with a door, and I believe access to that monkey I was hearing. Yeah, because he's down there. I'm gonna have to do this again because of this, but you know what? That's just how it be sometimes. Also, I'm gonna have to take damage. I know. That actually worked to stop me from taking fall damage, apparently. And that was all for a berry for Winter Gust again. My Ape Escape is just really connected with Winter, apparently. Which is a thing that Archipelago does sometimes. It'll take batches of games and merge them in particular together. Like, 2 players will have a lot of their stuff shared between them. So, more of my gadgets for this might very well be in Winter's games. Don't get crushed, don't get crushed. I don't wanna get crushed. Get crushed, don't get crushed, don't get crushed. Oh, by the way, you don't have to stun monkeys before you catch them. You can just net them if you can reach them. I got my own cookie, hooray. Those are not helpful, especially when they're right next to a cookie dispenser. Monkey. That was a berry pick-me-up to Astral Spin, which is, again, one of the time spinners. That is a healing item. Not super useful. You can tell how useful an item is without knowing what a game has at all, by the way, by the color coding. The blue items are usually useful, but not, like, big, important things. Purple is progressive, and orange are traps. There is another color that is, like, super important, and I forget what that color is off the top of my head, but you'll be able to tell. If it's not one of the colors I've mentioned, it is a very important item, basically, is the easy answer there. Where were those platforms that came out? Oh yeah, the dark blue there is also... Yeah, that's useful. Yeah, light blue is normal, dark blue is useful. They kind of run together in my head because they're both not progression items, which is what the purple ones are. But sometimes you get more progression from the useful items than from the progression items, if I'm honest. Don't know where the platforms are. I think they might just not be attached to this section of the castle. That may have been for a completely different section of castle. Yeah. It was even peering through reality here. I'm not really getting anything out of this. Oh yeah, you see the tag Deathlink there? Deathlink means whenever somebody with Deathlink dies, everyone else that has Deathlink also dies with them. Some games interact with that differently, like Yatika, who is playing Trading Card Shop Sim, has her day end whenever anybody with Deathlink dies. So she was getting really screwed by that earlier, so her bills were just piling up and she couldn't actually sell anything. As you see there, Yatika is one of the ones also playing Pokemon Emerald. Yatika's third game is, believe it or not, Plastic Duck Simulator, because apparently receiving ducks in that game generates checks. And that was an ice trap for Argo. People who watch a lot of clips probably have seen what ice traps are. That just freezes Link in a giant block of ice in Ocarina of Time. Though, since he's playing the Ship of Harkinian version, which is the PC decomp for Ocarina of Time, he has his ice traps doing a variety of things, like teleporting him, or just killing him, or setting him on fire. There's also shock traps, too. Ocarina of Time has the most variety of traps of any game, so a lot happens with those. I see your laser and raise you a punching glove and a net. Big O pants to Banjo Draconis, which is Draconius playing Banjo Tooie, the only Banjo game in this current setup. We've also got 2 different Paper Marios. Pendragon is playing regular Paper Mario, and Rights Out is playing Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I'm basically just going to list off games as they pop up or as I remember them off the top of my head. But if you've ever seen a game randomized, it's probably in this pool. There's those job well dones for Power Wash that I mentioned before that that Astral needs a lot of to finish. So apparently Astral has access to their final level already. There's already enough job well dones sent out because a lot of them got sent out. Because they are an incredibly common item. Nope, I definitely am not making that. I might be able to get the Spectre coin, but I was backwards, so no, that ain't happening. I think I'm out of here. I think there's not much else I can do in the loop I'm in there. I'm not going to be completing every stage completely. Like, I'm not gonna 100% all the stages because I can't. The hope is that I'll get some gadgets by the time we're done doing the checks I can do, and then I'll be able to do more.
I'm going for it.
Speaking of, I didn't get any gadgets without noticing, right? Nope, sure didn't. I've been keeping an eye on the tracker to see if I get sent anything for any of my games, and it has not happened. You'll know which ones are mine because they have some permutation of my name mixed with the game that it is. As most people have done, as you see with like Astral Wash and Eevee. There we go, Receptionist down, Swarm Queen to Stargust. I believe Swarm Queen is a unit? So I believe that unlocks the ability to build those units. So that's handy, actually. If that is what I think it is. I don't know if the queens are actually referred to as Swarm Queens or... I forget if they're just queens or if they're Swarm Queens in 2. It has been a very long time since I played StarCraft 2. I don't actually know if it's been longer since I played StarCraft 1 or since I played StarCraft 2, now that I think about it. Those were all pelts for my slingshot, which I don't have. And if it's a lot of information coming out at once, don't hesitate to ask for clarification on anything. I will happily confirm information and explain things. I'm just going through things as they pop to Brain, so it's going to be a lot of zoom. His brain wants to get thought out before Brain forgets thing. I think there's just not much I can do here right now. So I think this is another one where I need the Sky Flyer, because I think I need to be able to get up there to start the stage in any real way. Because I can't break the glass. Unless there's like an outside path somewhere that I'm not aware of, which is highly likely. Because even if I double jump off of this tree here, I don't think I'm making it. I'm gonna try, for obvious reasons. No. There is a trick you can do with one of the other items to kind of like infinite it fly, but I don't have that item, nor do I know how to do that trick, so... Oh, maybe this door opens. If this door opens, we're still in business here. If not, we're SOL. Well, we might be SOL. I could have Spike go play in traffic, but I don't think that helps anything. I also think I might not actually be able to go out there. Ooh, wait. Anki. Gyre hit to Eevee, which that I don't know if that's Explorers or if that's the Pokemon Black White. I think that's the Explorers one. But since it's a Pokemon item and it could appear in either, it can be hard to tell. That is the third of the 3 Astral Time Spinner games, for those wondering why there's a ton of checks coming out of there. Even if I didn't see the name, I would know where that is because I know those checks. I've played Time Spinner a couple times. Time Spinner has a way of chucking out a bunch of checks, especially once you have access to a specific room. And Astral in particular, I think, randomized a bunch of breakables to be checks, which was a choice. Like, all the little random bric-a-brac around the room can be broken and get items out of it, basically. Which is why you see big sweeps of checks come out. Thick Jungle, I think, is a very early stage. I think we can actually get a bunch here. Yeah, half of what we're gonna be doing here is mostly just vibing with the music and just trying to get some work done. Oh good, explosive pellets, the one thing I don't really want for this game. Because I still don't have the slingshot to use that information with. Yep. Yeah, Draconis is also playing Ocarina of Time, as you can tell by the ice trap. Ah, no. I'm trying to think of who I'm missing. Oh yeah, Amalia is playing Star Fox 64 and Sonic Adventure. That's another interesting pair. Aha! Monkey! That's why I was punching the pitcher plants. I was pretty sure there was a monkey in one of them. No! Spit me out! You cannot escape. Sometimes it takes a second for the checks to go through. Or have I disconnected? That might also be for a game that finished. Since we have 2 games that have released, their items will also have been pulled, so a check will just be nothing. Depending on your setup, you can also just have checks end up being nothing. Or you have a situation like that where it's 5 arrows, where it's practically nothing. Though there are times where when you're playing at the same time as someone where those 5 arrows could actually make or break things. And it could still, I just would have no idea. I need Skyflyer to go any further in this room. In fact, I think that's what this said. Yeah, you need a flying gadget to get over the valley. This, I think, is actually like World 2. Actually, yeah, 2-1 in Thick Jungle. So yeah, this is World 2. You would have the Skyflyer by now. I thought we were in one of the World 1 stages. The joys of randomizing your stages, not knowing where the hell you are at all. Oh yeah, don't get too close to the monkeys if they're actively alert. They will punch you like that. Black Key Plane. I don't know what that does, but I'm going to assume that's useful, because it's a key. I don't remember Thousand Year Door well enough to know what all of the keys do, off the top of my head. But Wrights is the one playing Thousand Year Door, just to fill out the bit of context there. And personally, I love Archipelago. Like, it is such a fascinating mess, but I fully understand if this is a lot to take in and it is confusing. Because there is a lot going on even with just me here. Yesterday, a lot of us were all in one call, and let me tell you, that was very overstimulating. Because even if we weren't all talking at the same time, it was just still a lot of information being passed back and forth constantly. That was 5 bombs from my tutorial old mailbox there. This is another thing that involves using the sticks. You have to rotate the sticks to move your paddles. And obviously each stick rotates a different paddle. You don't want that catfish catching you, because it will electrify you. Because, you know, catfish, well known for electrifying things. Monkey. I can't believe I actually hit that. Nope. You get over here. We can't grab hold of that, I don't think. Oh, goddammit. I was trying to be clever, but I think this is one I can't stand on, because you'll notice when we rotated around it, it kind of seemed two-dimensional. That's because it is. Some things in this game are not three-dimensional, and they are problematic. Hello, sir. Goodbye, sir. I have places to be, people to see, and you are not one of them. Sometimes I'm spinning too fast for the ship to understand. Just bear in mind, this was designed with the rotation abilities of a PS1 controller in mind, not a modern controller. Bubblegum flavored soap for power wash. Hooray. More useless items no one needs to care about. Because I don't think that even matters even to Power Wash. I think that is just a funny item. Get used to me hitting things blind like that, because that's how you kind of have to do this. Since the camera is not going to be your friend. That was another empty check. Hooray! Back in the boat. Oh, back in a boat. This is not the same boat. You can also very clearly tell the different proficiencies I have with my thumbs for spinning, where it does not line up speed-wise ever. Also, it spun my camera around when I jumped out of the boat, so thanks, game. Appreciate that. Very helpful. Very cool. Get boing. Howdy, Anxiety. How's it going? Welcome to this mess. Oh yeah, it's an old one. It's a good one though. And it's definitely not gonna look like how you remember it, because it's all randomized. Hey, currency trap for Yatica. Hooray. That apparently changes what currency Yatica's trading card shop sim is in, so it could go from like dollar to ruble or something like that. Black Bow of Forest to Vila. I do not remember what that is, but it is... Blast is not particularly useful, so it's probably a weapon in Dark Souls 3, if I were to hazard a guess. How you doing, Anxiety? Hopefully you're doing well. Ah yes, the tree mech. Yeah. Gonna be a lot of that now that things have warmed up a bit. Oh, that's right, I gotta punch both hands and then I punch the face. That's what I do with these things. I gotta do it a couple times. Oh no. What do you mean I had to go to my room where I wanted to be already? I need to not die here, otherwise I have to restart that whole thought. I don't want to. Thankfully, infinite cookie generator. Which is not in fact infinite, I don't think. I think there's actually a limit to these, but it's a very high limit, so it doesn't matter. Having Magic Punch way sooner than you're supposed to really makes these things easier to deal with, because not only does it do more damage, it has more range. Magic Punch, from what I remember, is meant to be a thing you get literally at the end of the game for doing 100. You get it so you can go do 100%, basically. Which is why it's making catching these monkeys so easy. But that was literally the first gadget anybody else sent me. I forget whose game it was in. But it was a very early check, which... I'll throw some more Archipelago lingo at everybody. Well, it's more randomizer lingo in general. The games are organized into spheres. Sphere 0 and 1 being the earliest checks you can get. 0 being checks you can get with absolutely nothing. 1 being, I think you need like the smallest crumb of progression to be able to get them. And then it just goes up from there. You can have spheres in the double digits. And we probably do with the 50 games that are in this archipelago. At least for some of the games. Oh, there's my Spectre coin. I need that. Because those are checks too, and it was a fucking sponge. God damn it. Risking my life for a sponge. Dang it. I really wish I had Monkey Radar. I do not remember these stages well enough to go find all the monkeys without it. Not to mention, I don't know where all the mailboxes are. Blood Hunter to Stargust, so that's another thing for StarCraft 2. I do not remember what Blood Hunter is. I think that might be an upgrade for something? It's not a mission key, so I know it's not a mission. Ow. Don't ask how these boulders work. They do what they want. Oh, he sees me from way early. Thankfully, you don't need the slingshot to deal with these guys. You can magic punch them out of the air as long as you can reach the thing to punch it. Technically, you can actually stun stick them down too, but it's much harder. Let's just get rid of these guys before they cause problems. Oh wait, increased card luck for Yataka, I see there. I believe Yataka's checks are opening the card packs in Trading Card Shop Sim, so... Or at least that's some of them, and levels for the shop. This guy, I think, is flying too high for me to get. I would need Skyflyer or Slingshot for him, I think. Because even if I jump off this ledge, he's too far... Oh, wait, no, hang on. He sometimes flies close enough. He's mocking me is what he's doing right now. I keep having the camera do stupid things. There we go, that's a hit. I need to hit him like 3 times, then the UFO goes down, and then I can catch him. He can get another one, though, so I need to be quick. That's 2 hits. Got him. No. No more UFO for you. A job well done for Astral. Hooray. Get used to that happening too, because with how many job well dones are in the pool, a lot of checks will end up being just a job well done. Oh, Dyla found her own Stitch, so Dyla can summon Stitch in Kingdom Hearts now. Hooray. I think Stitch is an okay summon. I don't remember Stitch being one that people talked about a lot being like the most useful, but it's a fun one at least. Power Star for my Mario 64, which doesn't help because Mario... Fun fact about the Mario 64 setup I have Move Rando on, which means every move Mario could do other than just basic jumping and punching got thrown out into the pool somewhere. We have regained Ledge Grab and Side Flip that I know of. That's it. So, no diving, no kicking, no triple jumping, nothing. We do have Wing Cap and Metal Cap, so you can at least jam out to the Metal Cap theme, so there's that. But that's why Mario 64 is not getting played today, because we ain't gonna be able to do much of anything with that. I do have the basement available in Mario 64, but I went there already and it wasn't that exciting in terms of checks at the moment. Just because I'm not good enough at Mario 64 to do baby jumps for everything. I could side flip to a bunch of stuff, but nobody's indicated that it's important, so I'm not worrying about that specifically today. Oh, there's another monkey in here, huh? Come here, you. Ooh, that's big. Progressive hookshot to Argo. That is one of his 2 hookshots. It's either his hookshot or his long shot. I don't think he got a regular hookshot, so that might be his first hookshot. And for those who know OOT, that's actually pretty big. That opens up a lot of traversal, depending on how you use it. And what settings he's got going for it. Because apparently there's a setting where you could have the hookshot latch onto non-wooden surfaces, which I found fascinating. You could just, like, hookshot literally anywhere. Now, that may sound bustedly good, but apparently it has consequences, too, because you can hookshot to things you did not want to when you try to hookshot to something. You know, something consequences of your actions. Does this actually do anything for me, or was this just more energy chips? This was just more energy chips. We have more than half the monkeys here. I think we're pretty done here. I don't know if I can do Molten Lava really at all, but we'll go look. I don't remember what Molten Lava is. 7 monkeys. Might be able to get a couple things here.
I'm going for it.
Okay, yeah, this is relatively early, I think. That was a sponge for Astral. Unfortunately, we can't open that door because I think I need the slingshot to shoot through there to hit that button. But we can go this way. Get another mailbox. Mega Ether for one of the 2 Kingdom Hearts. Okay, understood. And yeah, Cassius definitely has his keys within his own world because he keeps finding his temple keys and such, so he absolutely kept them to himself. Which is wise. Many of us chose unwise things. But Cassius is only doing this for the 2nd time at all as far as Archipelago goes, so he played it safe with a bunch of his stuff, which is smart. You may have seen some of the said players in the small-scale archipelagos I was doing before. This is the event I was doing those to teach people for, so that they could participate in this big one and actually understand what they were getting into. Because that was the time we did with Viola and Pandragon, and then the one we did with Eevee and Cassius. Which, if you're interested in seeing how those played out, the VODs are still on the VOD channel. They will always be there. Small money to Yatika. That is just quite literally some money. I don't remember if that's... I think that's just money going to Yatika. There is also apparently customer money in that game, which gives the customers greater amounts of money they're able to use to buy cards. Which is interesting. Like, that's the thing I love about these, is just the weird settings so many of these games have, and just the way people have made them interact with Archipelago. Because a lot of the mechanics and such I'm talking about here are not things these games normally had. They are things added by Archipelago so that it would function within Archipelago's those capabilities. That Spectre coin was nothing. There's a monkey hiding under that eggshell. You can't get me with a shell game. 10 bombs to Draco. I know you can see them, but I'm going to call them out for those who aren't looking. In case you're wondering why I'm still calling them out. Job well done to Astral. And it's just honestly fun to see what those are. Can I just punch the T-Rex? No, punching him seems ineffective. I believe what you normally do is slingshot the monkey off of the T-Rex. I think it tells you what to do here. Yeah, we aggro him and then get him to slam into something. But I believe slingshotting the monkey off of there also works. That's the neat thing, as usual, with something that can be randomized, is there are multiple solutions to problems. Like, a bunch of the monkeys I've gotten, I technically shouldn't have gotten, because I did, like, long double jumps to get at them and things like that. That was another empty monkey. He just was a monkey. Fun fact, I don't think the monkeys I'm catching technically count for me. But thankfully, monkey count doesn't do much of anything, so it's fine. Oh, he's almost off of there. He's down to the tail. Okay, I can't apparently just punch the monkey off of there. Hey, Stinky, come here. Get wrecked, stupid. Dust bunny. Just a dust bunny. Nope, there's a Triforce piece going out to Argo from Astral, though. That might... I don't know if Argo is doing pure Triforce Hunt, or if he's doing Triforce and Ganon. That is apparently where it went slightly awry for Winter, is... I think he had intended for Triforce and Ganon and didn't end up with both somehow, something along those lines. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with the text files for these, because it's a lot of information to take in. And some of them are formatted in, shall we say, unique ways. Otherwise known as ways the one who wrote it can understand, and anybody else good luck. And that's not to say anything against these people, because these are people doing these for free as passion projects, so, you know, all gratitude to them for making these things work. but it is still a hell of a thing sometimes. But I think, unless I go back somewhere, I think we're done with Ape Escape here. And I can't think of too many things I can do. So I think we'll go ahead and hop out of this, hop to Lunacid for a while, and then we'll wrap up for the day. Which is actually perfectly timed because the ad is running, so that'll give me a chance to swap games without y'all having to see it. Well, those of you that are subscribed will see it, but you get the point. And I didn't save because I'm an idiot. One moment. Thankfully, I didn't just close the game immediately. The good news is any check I found, if I don't save, still gets sent out, because it gets sent in the moment, but it won't be registered in my game to let me know that I'd done it. And honestly, I'm probably not closing Ape Escape completely right now anyway. Especially since I'm going to leave that up so you guys have music while I get the other game up and going. Which thankfully Lunacid's very easy to load and connect with. I may as well teach you all about how connecting works and everything. A lot of games need a separate text client and everything connected, and then the game itself connected as well. Lunacid, because it's a PC game that just runs through a mod, actually only needs the client itself, like just the game opened, as long as you have the mod added to the game, which I of course do already. Now that Lunacid audio exists, we'll go ahead and flip that audio, and we will flip the screen so you can see the game. I am smart and did clever thing. Oof. A lot of these are already loaded in, so I can just immediately hot swap to them. And we're gonna leave that tracker there so you can see anything that I get if you miss it on screen. Because this game will show them on screen. But I just need to flip categories now. And fix it in the title. It's either that or I sit there and change it on screen. Thanks, Twitch. If you try to change multiple things at once, sometimes Twitch freaks out and undoes your category changes. Now, what Lunacid is if you've ever seen me play Kingsfield or anything like that, that's more or less what this is. It's a first-person dungeon crawl set in a well that we got tossed in. I forget the exact reasoning, but there was this giant monster flying around that kind of caused a lot of interesting decisions to happen, is the short version. Now, for those who were here yesterday, you may notice a very drastic difference in a lot of things. I spent a bunch of time grinding in order to get the weapon XP bar on all of these weapons filled up, because some of my checks for this game are quenching the weapons and upgrading them. Instead of it becoming a new weapon, it sends out an item to somebody. So I went ahead and took care of all of those. We have since picked up even more weapons from people, because that's one of the checks that I receive is weapons. I also received my various spells. One of the earliest ones we got was this Icarian Flight that makes you jump stupid high, which is how we got to some of the few places we've been. I've never seen the Uranus Beam. That's fun. Let's play with that. That seems like fun. Fire the Ass Beam. What else have we received? So I need to check to see what keys I got. That's gonna be the biggest question mark. We got the surface door key earlier. That's what told me that I wasn't locked anymore. Is every door that is an area transition in this game has a key associated with it due to the randomizer. Ordinarily, most doors would not need keys. With this setup, every door needs a key, which makes the pathing very weird. Like, I will demonstrate the pathing I have to do for fun here, which means I need to re-equip Icarian Flight. Wind Dash is very good because that's a forward dash spell. Rock Bridge, actually, I'll show you how to do it with Rock Bridge. I'm pretty sure I can cast enough rock bridges for this. Rock Bridge just summons a bridge in the air, or out of stone for a little while. So if you combine a couple rock bridges, you could go most anywhere you would need to jump to, as long as you don't make them too steep, rather. And there we go. If you go into the ceiling of the hub town, you go up here to the Great Well surface. And if we turn around from here and go back this way, I'll be able to show you the door I got the key for. Because ordinarily you'd be needing to use that surface key to come up here in the first place, but I have all my entrances randomized. I'm gonna put that torch away because the crackling is gonna get to me after a while. You could save that for when I have to fight something. If we just trot along in here. Oh, fun fact about this game. This speed stat matters. The more speed you have, the faster you actually move. We started with like 8 speed. It was pain. That's another reason why I leveled up a bit. Dexterity influences your jump height. So the more dexterity you have, the higher you can jump. Yes, you can jump high enough to break your legs. Strength is obvious, defense is obvious, resistance and defense kind of work hand in hand. Intelligence raises your mana pool and makes your spells better. Lunacy is unique, and we're not really going to focus on that here today. But if I open this door, we end up in another awful place, but it's at least a playably awful place. Welcome to the Boiling Grotto. And we're actually coming in through the proper door. Like, that's how you're supposed to come into the area. Which is nice. That lava hurts. Don't touch it. It's bad for you. That reminds me, let me equip a very important spell. Spirit Warp lets me warp back to that hub town you saw me in at a moment's notice. As long as I charge the spell, of course. Oh, it's a vertical death laser, not a horizontal death laser. Okay, I thought it was going to be like a beam originating from me to my target. That's actually going to be super handy. Ow, 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 ow. Thankfully, as you can see, the lava doesn't kill you, it just stings. I'm gonna be looking for all these purple sparks, because those are checks. Spectre token for my ape escape that I just left. What do you know? This is probably a bad place to bring the torch as my only weapon, so even though I should be leveling a weapon up, we're gonna leave that alone for the moment. Colonel Club. I have so many weapons. You know, I'll show this off, because it's literally just a flintlock pistol. With infinite ammo, I might add. Its ammo is basically just the charge time it takes to charge it fully. Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, you only sell health, mana, and antidotes still. This is what Cheryl's referring to. This guy who's turned to stone inside his armor, essentially. You can melt that. And I don't think I have the spell for that. Because it's a specific fire spell, from what I recall, that can melt him out of that. Actually, Void Chasm might work. Let's try Void Chasm. Nope, that's the wrong spell. Here lies. I think it's because it's still hitting him that the message immediately closed. Here lies Sir Hicket the Invincible, immovable in death as he was in life. Yeah. He is nigh indestructible. There's a specific fire spell that its description will give you a hint that you're supposed to use it on him to melt him out of that. I believe you normally find it in this area somewhere. Yeah, I made my books checks, and all of my lore things are checks. It's a whole to-do. This place also has a bunch of secret walls, like this one. I already tapped this crystal, and I was intending to show you all this place by warping here, but I figured it would make more sense if I showed you how I got here. Every level, you get 3 skill points to spend, and you can spend them on anything. I am going to go ahead and raise my jump height a little bit more. As you can see, I actually jump slightly higher immediately. Like, every level matters a little bit, is 0.1 extra jump height. So obviously every 10 levels is the most noticeable. In order to get past this giant snake that's dripping poison and spewing fire out of it, we have to find two valves at either end here. So let's get that done. That's the end of him. Snowflake Obsidian. I don't have any of that yet. All of my alchemy in the hub town is also checks. If I do alchemy, it'll send an item instead of giving me something. I have really made this a nightmare for myself. In the best and most fun way possible, haha. When you hear that boing noise, that's an enemy losing a part of its body. I don't know if I can hurt myself with that laser, so I'm just gonna wait. Like his head popped off, for example, from the laser. Let's go ahead and put that away. That's not as effective as I would like it to be. Oh yeah, the Holy Crossbow has experience as well. We can probably get that leveled, like, immediately. Shoots a lot faster than the gun does, despite how you would think that would work. Now, weapon experience goes up per hit, so you don't actually want to use your proper charged hits that do full damage. You actually want to spam hits in order to get your weapon levels. As if this wasn't an obvious secret door. There's a trick to these, though. One of these chests, is there was layered chests in here, is bad news. This one also had nothing in it. I forget if there's 2 of these or 3 of these. 3 of these. I also forget which one's bad news. I don't think it's a mimic. I think it's a trap in one of these. But you know what? Let's find out. There's the mimic. Gotta go. Open faster, please. So mimics are funny in multiple ways. They steal your money and they also hurt like a son of a bitch once you're out of money, like I am now. There's also a mechanic in Archipelago specifically, I believe it's Archipelago specific, that makes them scale based on how much silver you've been sent. So the more money you receive from other players, the more danger you are in whenever you find a mimic. Some fool's gold, which we already have a little bit of that, but more could be useful. Now, let's see if that third chest is worse or not. I could have swore there was a trap in here. The mimic might have been the trap. 100 rupees for Amma. Okay. Let me actually pull the tracker up on the other side here so I can see it easier. So I can see what other people are sending around specifically. And yeah, that's Minish Cap, in case people are wondering what MC is. Amma's playing Minish Cap and Muse Dash. Don't ask me how Muse Dash works in this. I know you get sent your stages, and that's all I understand about it. This wasn't here before. I forgot that that's a mechanic. I was pretty sure that was gonna be the mimic again, but I'm like, that wasn't there before. What does that mean? Turns out, mimics come back that way, and I didn't know that. So that's a thing. As you can see, I can just kind of spam fire this. It doesn't do as much damage, but it works. And that is more dangerous. That's an obsidian skeleton. There's one guarding each of these valves that I need. I'm just gonna riddle him with bolts. Ooh, adaptive med packs for medics. That sounds useful. Notice how there's some drift to these shots as well. But that blue meter underneath where you see the charge kind of flickering on and off, that is where the weapon experience meter is. So you see why I'm doing it. I'm getting a lot of weapon experience doing this. And I'll show you how I got all the other checks for the quenches when we're done in this area. Because it's actually kind of funny. More bones. Yeah, we just pull this lever here, which will turn that valve and turn off this section of the fire, which reduces the amount of fire coming from the big snake. Also grab a dust bunny for Astral, hooray. And if you hit these, that reveals the mirage and reveals the path. Because those are basically one-way secret doors. You can only activate them from the side that the eye is on. You might know that it's there, but you can't do anything about it until you get to the other side. And that's a fun fact for all of you there, is if you can see it, you can hit it in this game. With most things. Some things do have a range limit, but not all of them do. The big danger of these occurlibs is pushing you into the lava, as far as I'm concerned. We've also drank all of my health potions, which makes me very sad, but, you know. That's how it goes sometimes. This is literally a shield that you whack things with, by the by. The Mimic Sword's pretty good. I think we'll just use the Mimic Sword, like we did yesterday. Eating my jump. I think I already did everything I can do with Fire Coral, but I'll pick up more anyway. That's back to the beginning, I think. This is the way I want to go. You can tell by the snake banners. There's actually, I believe that leads to the switches. Double toxic crossbow from a Mashroll. Neat. Actually, ooh, this could be bad, actually. Because he tanks the laser. Oh no, he didn't tank the laser that well. Only the second time. Skeleton down. Ow. I gotta be kind of careful about dying in this game because it sends you back to where you last saved, and we didn't save for a bit. So it would be a very big problem if I died. I wanted to pull both levers before I worried about that any further. Once this finishes doing its thing, we're gonna warp away and heal. You can also get an item that lets you warp like this, but the spell is more convenient because it doesn't run out. Unless you run out of mana. But as you can see, we gained a fair few levels doing that, because that area is very high level. Not the highest. Some of the other places we were before that are higher. Like, I believe the surface is technically a higher level than that, but you don't fight anything really on the surface. I'm gonna go ahead and raise my intelligence a bunch, and raise my defense a bit to get more health. There's no vitality stat in this game, it's all defense as far as getting health goes. It also impacts blocking and things like that, but the health is more important from that. Let's see what the Holy Crossbow gives somebody. Burn Drive for Winter Gust, so I don't think that that's anything important. And I think... yeah, because I didn't level the torch, so I think that was the only thing that I needed to turn in. Double Toxic Crossbow is very similar to the Holy Crossbow, except it's got 2 arms instead of 1. It's poison. Does this level up? I should have looked. No, it doesn't, so we're not going to use that for the time being, then. I was going to use it for a while, but if it doesn't level, meh. Back to Crackle Land. I have no money because the Mimic took all of my money. Well, that's a shame. So, the funny thing I was going to show you all about how to level weapons up, by the way, this couch counts for weapon experience. All destructibles count. So I just kept going around, burning all the plants, hitting the couch, and then I would leave the area, go run around Hollow Base and do the same thing there, come back here, repeat until my weapons were leveled up. You don't get experience for yourself this way, you only get weapon experience. But it's a good way of getting those quench checks if you're playing this the way we are right now, without having to worry about combat. Which, since we only had Hollow Base and I didn't have much combat to do, now that we have more, we can do more. Yeah, the crafting in this is fairly simple. You just combine 3 things in here, and it'll indicate to you what can go together, like that. But this one still isn't a valid combination. It makes a sad boom, as you heard, at you whenever you don't do the thing. There is a chance where my checks for that are going to be bugged, so I may end up having to have people retrieve whatever that's supposed to be at some point, because I noticed I got errors in my log when I did one specific one of those. It's only been one. The rest of them have worked, so I'm gonna just hope that the one that didn't work is one that nobody needs and we just don't need to worry about it. But there's a chance that that'll go wrong. Hey, Demi, you have nothing else for me? That's fine. Demi's the one who brings you here, and Demi will also give you a couple items along the way when you come back after doing certain things. But yeah, as you can see, we only have 3 warps. I have not been to the 4 areas that are supposed to be between here and there. These 2 areas are interchangeable, I do believe. And then these 3 are basically the end of the game. Over here. Not every area in the game has a warp spot, because not every area has a crystal. Like the surface, for example, is a very small area, so there's no crystals there. You saw basically the entirety of the surface section when we just walked through it to get back to Boiling Grotto. Is all that's there otherwise is you turn around and there's a graded off thing that somebody got shot at down the other end. That's basically it. And there's a couple items scattered around up there, which I already picked up. So we're gonna go back to Boiling Grotto. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's an item over here I didn't go grab yet. I know the torch isn't a great thing to be using here, but I think I might end up using it just to get that done. And if you're wondering, yes, I did purposely increase my jump height to get around in here. Destroying Angel Mushroom, that is a crafting ingredient. Chaos Sickle, that might actually be good. I'll need to check to see what that randomized to have. There's another decision I made. Is my weapons all have random elements. You can see by their description what element they're supposed to have had compared to what they have now. I'm gonna have to... Yep, I'm gonna have to either Rock Bridge or a Carrion Flight up here, even though I increased my jump height. Probably just better if I Rock Bridge, because you can and will break your legs with a Carrion Flight. And that check was worthless. Because as you might imagine, water for pressure washer, for power wash, is literally just water. All that does is refill the power washer without them having to go back and fill it, as far as I'm aware. So it is like the epitome of a garbage junk check. Ditto with like the suds and the soap and things. Grime, I'm not really sure what relevance that has. Like, I don't know if that makes things dirty or what. It's not classed as a trap, so I would figure if it was gonna make things dirty again, it would be classed as a trap. Cheryl's shop this way. I think we looped back around to where I was before. Some of these hallways look the same because they're just lava and mess and nightmares. Yeah, we're just back here at Cheryl. Which is where that guy is, and I think we already picked up, as well as loop back to the crystal. Which we could just loop back to the crystal. I think I will do exactly that because it'll be easier to get back to where the flames were guarding this way. Let's go ahead and raise our dexterity a little more. Just a little bit more jump height. Because if I'm having trouble reaching the bridge there, there's going to be a couple other places we're going to have trouble jumping up to. And again, I could use magic to get to those places, but some of them we're probably going to be running for our life during the time. Oh, did I just go around in a circle again? I sure fucking did. You'll notice there's actually a banner showing the crystal, because those crystals are actually like a normal thing around here. I thought that the serpent thing was like right in front of where the crystal was, but I might be remembering wrong. Nope, it's this way. I think. Draw distance is being a bit of a bastard about that. No, it's right here. You can't see the flame anymore because the flame's gone. But we can go into the snakehead now, which is going to be a whole thing. Because you might think, oh, you just go in the big snake and get an item. No. Inside the big snake is a whole other area. Welcome to the temple. I think it's literally called the Temple of Osiris. This is actually a place I might want to carry in flight in. You can go down in those sand pits, and most of them actually lead places. They're not actually like death pits or anything. I think actually none of them are death pits. This is a funny, by the way. There's a hole under that rug. As you can see by all the neat lettering flying through here. Quite a magic place. It's also full of snakes. And poison. No effect from the torch, huh? That's a problem. Considering I'm poisoned and that doesn't work, that is an issue. Cleanse that? Fine. Get nuked. We can't use the torch in here. If the torch doesn't work on the serpents, the torch is useless to me. But it is a poison weapon, which I should have thought about. Yeah, we'll use the Wand of Power. This shoots random element shots. It could be... I think any element in the game can come out of it each time you fire it. We got these Anpus as well, which are fairly dangerous. They run at you and try to get you with their blades. Whatever the hell that is for Astral Wash. I know people told me what those were, but I do not remember. Boyan trap for Amalia in Sonic Adventure. I do not remember what the Bunya untrap is either. Amalia mentioned it yesterday. Amalia got hit with a bunch of them. It does not mean I remember. There's an Anpu underneath me, I think, trying to chase after me. The detection can be weird sometimes. So, like, enemies will detect you from different floors, like this guy right here. I ended up rolling an element that didn't work on one of those shots. Multiple shots that didn't work, huh? That's a yikes for me. Part container for Cassius. Some of my enemy drops are also checks. So I have to kill enemies a bunch. Which is important for me to level as well. Like, sometimes I can be real bad about just running through places instead of killing. So that's kind of why I did that, was so I discourage myself from my bad behavior. Yeah, we're back at the beginning. I had a carrier in flight ready in case this was one of the holes that was bad. Notice the music changed. There's multiple sections to this place, and this is where things get nasty. Welcome to the snake pit. Population, lots of snakes, lots of traps, and just general misery. I would say this game's equivalent of Sen's Fortress, but it's not as bad as Sen's Fortress, honestly. It has a lot of snakes in it and a lot of traps, but that's the closest comparison really there. Personally, I'm not super bothered by this place most of the time. Under the circumstances like we have right now, I'm going to be more bothered by this place than usual. Well, I suspect. This is going to be very easy to die. We're back in the main area. This is the trench in the middle of the main room. Energy chip came to Ape Escape. That's wonderful and all, but doesn't help. You'll notice the Ape Escape message is still in purple. That's because that's the tracker for Ape Escape. It'll list the hosted player in purple and everybody else in yellow. Okay, I might have to actually start using the serious weapon. The Wand of Power is great. Like, it is genuinely a very powerful weapon. But it is inconsistent. But I don't have a other ranged weapon that is consistent. That isn't poison. Like, this is fairly consistent, but it takes too long to fire. Oh, and this still has... Hang on. This still has weapon experience, because the weapon experience on this keeps resetting. This ordinarily, I believe, can quench an endless amount of times? Or something like that? Like, it quenches repeatedly, I believe. And then again, this did roll lightning, so this might still be better. So, realistically, what I should do is leave. I don't want to have to leave and come back. Even though there's a high risk of that happening anyway. Let's finish seeing what we can do up here, I think. There's also, I believe, a trap somewhere around here that drops you into the snake area. As opposed to going into there from the way I showed. I don't know... Oh, that serpent must have bumbled into a trap. Things like that are what I wanted the increased jump height for, by the way. So you can parkour around your enemies. Because that can be very important when fighting a melee enemy like that, is being able to hop on ledges to dodge around them. There's the door. Upgrade for Yatika Emerald. That only matters if Yatika wants a Porygon. I believe upgrade takes it to Porygon 2, and then it's like a disc to get to Porygon Z or something like that. Fine. Ignore all the pop-in that's happening. That's not normal for this game. Something with the mod is freaking it out a little bit. So torches are appearing and disappearing, and a lot of odd things are happening with the way this game is rendering. Max Aura, Jiggy for Banjo. These checks are pretty good. These are actually some decent checks. This Max Aura is more magic for that particular time spinner, which is nice to have, but not vital. And Jiggy's, I believe, are world unlocks for Banjo. I believe you get enough of those and you, like, form them into a puzzle that unlocks a stage. Normally, anyway. I think that's not in the rando. I believe stage unlocks are specifically found in the rando. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I'm up on the right side or not. I wanted to be up on the side I hadn't been up on already. Yes, this is the right one. I didn't get a chance to look at it. It was a doubloon for Banjo, which I think is only good for like 1 or 2 specific things in one of the stages, so not exciting. I am starting to get hungry though, so we'll probably wrap up soonish. And that'll bring us to the 6-hour mark, which is not, well, yeah. I'll probably go to the 6-hour mark. So like 2 hours of Archipelago and 4 hours of Terraria. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, but I'll say it again for those that missed it, the VOD will be split up, so if you don't want to see the Archipelago, you can still see the whole Terraria, or if you just want to see the Archipelago and don't want to see Terraria, you'll see all of either or. There's another strange coin. I do need a certain amount of those depending on which ending I want to go for. I believe it's 20 strange coins for one of the endings, which my goal for this is any ending in the game. I have it set so that any of them are valid, because this game has like 5 endings of varying difficulty to get. One of which being just literally get to the end of the state and the end area and do one specific thing there. And a bunch of the other ones involve going to the same area but having more things collected. One of which being more or less 100% completion of the game. You have to go get like everything. I have at one point shown off every ending in the game, so if you go back in the VOD channel, you can see all of the other things and see how the game normally progresses and everything. And I do highly recommend it if you enjoy this type of game, both to play it or to see that playthrough. This is a very fascinating game. Oh, wait, no, that was a hidden... Why was there a question mark? Huh? Why was there a question mark just randomly? What did I see? That was weird. Though that may just be the mod making things get a little freaky. Is earlier today when I was grinding, I also lost the ability to talk to a couple of the NPCs, which was concerning. But when I rebooted it, it came back, so... The mod is a little scuffed. Mod's a little scuffed. Elven Bandana for Erdila. Don't know what that does in Kingdom Hearts, but it's a thing. Yeah, part of the reason I didn't hop in the call, even though it was a nice and chill one with only a couple people in, is I knew I wasn't going to be doing checks for too awful long. So I may end up doing some off stream just so I can let my voice rest and do some of the grindier checks. This way people aren't kept waiting too long, but we'll probably be making more progress on this tomorrow. Because it was going to depend very heavily on what I had available to do. And I'm pretty confident I can still do yet more here in Lunacid, especially now that I've gotten stronger and faster. I think we can actually run through the area we were dying in yesterday and actually get to places. We won't really be able to fight effectively there, I don't think, but we can at least go get checks. Potentially in there. Just double checking to make sure I didn't miss anything in here on this floor. So I think I am going to take the wise course and warp out. Which is going to be inconvenient because I'm going to have to run back here again, but it's better than dying. Always touch the crystal, because if you don't touch the crystal, you don't heal. You also don't save. Which the saving is the more important part. In fact, with what I'm thinking about doing, we're going to go ahead and raise my speed some more. And you can see the difference immediately. Like, I am ever or so slightly faster with 5 levels. Not really as slight as I'm implying, but you get the point. Yeah, we didn't get enough money to get any healing. That's going to be the one problem with my cunning scheme that I'm about to do, is not getting anything health-wise. We're going to go back to Hollow Basin. I'm going to show off the other path we took yesterday in case people didn't see it. I also want to quickly double-check. Actually, no, I know I don't have that key. Oh, fun thing to show off. This, the corrupt key, used somewhere broken. We cannot get to where this is used, but I just want to show this item, show that this item exists specifically, so you get an idea what kind of game this can be sometimes. And to add an extra layer to that, there is a bunch of VHS tapes in this game that you will actually put into various VCRs to do things. Just a whole thing there. Just mentioning that as a aside, because one of the endings involves doing that. So since I'm not going to be showing that off, I'm just mentioning that as a concept. I will not mention what the ending is, because that's spoilers, but the VHS tapes do exist, and I say that because the first one is very easy to find, and you find it very early, so do not consider that spoiler territory to mention that they exist. I won't say how many of them are or what they do, other than that they go in VCRs and do something. I've gone the wrong way. This is the other part of the area, though, that I was using for weapon experience grinding. Just beating up, like, the shulkers and such that are here. Because these guys are not really much of a threat. Daisy Blaze, thank you for the raid. What were you up to today? Hopefully you were having a grand time. We're just working in our way through some Lunacid here as part of the Dragonpelago, that big archipelago that you may have seen me doing yesterday. For anyone coming in from the raid, if you don't know what Archipelago is, you see that tracker at the bottom of the screen? That's all the items going back and forth from the various randomizers that are connected together via Archipelago. Basically, any item I pick up might go to somebody playing Mario 64, or, like you see there, Dark Souls 3, etc. Time Spinner just did a bunch again. Ooh, nice! Hopefully you did well with the art. And of course, if you or anyone that came with you need to raid and run, please make sure to do so. Taking care of yourselves is always the first priority. But I do appreciate that you chose to bring your community here and watch the nonsense that I'm doing. As I'm hopping around an earlier area because I went the wrong way. Actually, I think this area counts. Oh yeah. Yep, welcome to the Sanguine Sea. It's a big ol' sea of blood. But we're not here to be here. We're here to go through the doors that are connected here. I don't have the sewer C door or key, so I can't go there. You're gonna have to come along for the ride here with me for a moment, because we gotta cross the sea and go to that light you see down there. It won't take too awful long. It may look like it'll take a while, but it doesn't. This place is smaller than it looks. It is, however, very concerning. There is an item I could go grab here, but it's very dangerous to get. I think I'm gonna hold off on that idea. So while I'm walking along, let me switch my spells. I want this. This will also actually help us get there faster. Yum. Yum. Because this dashes you forward a solid bit. And as you can see by my purple bar up there in the top left, it takes basically no mana to wind dash. And that's going to be the important thing here. Where was that item that's going to be real dangerous to get? Because I might go greedy and go get that. But it's probably going to just get me killed. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? And that item might be something important for somebody, because this is technically a check I should be getting early. Because for those who don't know how randomizer logic works, basically, since this was one of the first areas I could get to, because of how my doors were locked and everything, it expects this to be an early item gotten for somebody, which means this could be a basic item somebody needs. Like, this could be one of the jumps for Mario 64 or something simple but important like that. But I am forgetting where that spot in here is. You kind of follow the walls around in here because this place is so big you can't see the edges of it. And you'll find like a little alcove area with something really bad in it. We might be able to fight said really bad thing if I'm smart. Which means actually I should change what I'm equipped with if I'm going to try this idea. Sure, Wand of Power. That should do a good enough job. I might be fast enough to outrun this thing enough to win this. Because there's something very, very nasty out here. Well, there's two very nasty things out here. One is my problem, one isn't. We're back where we started more or less here, in case people are wondering. So I'm looking for that spot now that I thought about that. So this is going to take a little bit more doing. That's the vampire castle I have the vampire symbols for over there too, but I don't have the key for the front door. So I can't go in until I get the front door key. Ordinarily, you'd be able to walk into a lot of places and just area transition normally, but due to the way I have this randomized, all the doors are locked. You don't need to worry about these hemoliths that are here. Unless you attack them, they're basically passive. They just kind of hang out. This is where the item is. But I don't see it, which is concerning. You'll notice there's a bunch of skeletons there. And skeletons are fine. It's not them that are the problem. Like, they're not completely a joke at our current state of things, but they're not the problem. I'm hoping I can see him before he sees me. I heard a skeleton to my side there, but I think it was just the ones in front of me making weird noises. There's a little bit of drift to the shots from this wand, in case people are like, how'd you miss his head at that range? It goes a little to the sides. Oh, hey, my skeleton check was a ice trap for Argo. What a shame for Argo there. Yeah, see the thing sitting there? The green thing with the big horns? That's the problem. That guy's the issue. I don't like him. He's mean to me. He's gonna do bad things to me. Realized a window was blocking something else, so I was moving the window. Here he comes! The Abyssal Demon. As you can see, he's faster than he seems. By a long shot. Yeah, no, we're out of here. I'm leaving. I don't want him to kill me. Nah, not doing that. He is too fast. I thought I could outrun him, but I forgot he was that fast on the ground. That is, even when I'm decently strong and have a bunch of levels behind me, one of the few things in this game that genuinely I do not like to fight is that thing can do way more than you'd expect a thing with no hands and no head to do. Ooh, nice. Astral found their own light wall for one of their time spinner games. Light wall is a funny spell in that game. Because for those that don't know what time spinner is, it's a Metroidvania, like, you know, 2D side-scrolling deal there. Light wall lets you make a hard light platform that goes vertically, so you can platform around to places you don't belong with that spell. It is very handy. Very similar to the rock spell that I showed you all earlier in this game, where you can just kind of go wherever you desire that way. We are gonna have to go back into the area I just ran away from. Problem was, I wasn't gonna be able to get rid of him. Like, he was gonna stay locked on to chasing me until I killed him or died. And every time we die, it disconnects me from the Archipelago. It thankfully will automatically reconnect, but I don't like spamming the log with disconnect, reconnect, disconnect, reconnect, if I can help it. That's mostly just a me thing. Of course, I'm gonna die here doing something stupid and demonstrate exactly what I was talking about. See how it says Dracocid has left the game? Because you'll see as soon as the restart prompt comes up, it's a connect prompt, not a load prompt until you reconnect. It's just an odd thing with it. I wanted to do something fancy and it didn't work out. Is what I was going to demonstrate is what you can do with Wind Dash. Is if you do it properly, see how that ramps up a little bit? You can Wind Dash into this and ramp launch yourself up there to get to that area early. I did that actually when I did my vanilla playthrough ages long past. Due to this being randomized, you can of course... Thanks, Astral. Thanks for the curse. Curse means I can't attack. That's about all it does. It's not a huge deal. It is a very good jump scare. If you enjoy that, because the chains just appearing and the noise and everything can definitely jump scare somebody when they're not expecting it. Yeah, I still don't have the key for there. I wanted to double check what that key was called. Ordinarily that goes to the library. I'll go ahead and show off climbing up here with the rock steps for fun. Because we have enough jump to do this now. This is another spell that takes negligible amounts of mana. Whoop. All you have to do is touch the light up there and you traverse to that area. Yes, that is something they expect you to do in vanilla in one way or another. So you can reach the top of the area and go to the area that's normally connected up there. In fact, if I recall right, it is required at some point. Not necessarily in that room, but in a room to get to the top. I don't remember if it's... I don't remember if the hub room is normally connected to the same place as the upper part of the surface. I believe they are normally separate places. But don't quote me on that, it's been too long. Because I think the last time I played this game vanilla was over a year ago. I did a randomizer with Vale last year, I believe it was, playing this. I think it was Celeste that Vale was playing that we were connected to. which was an interesting exchange. Like, I started to draw a whole thing about me handing strawberries and being handed weapons. Because that's basically how that exchange went. I would find strawberries for Celeste and receive weapons in return. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys over here. This isn't the worst place. We actually can fight things in here, but I wanted to check if the doors in here were openable. These malformed horses were the issue that we ran into when we were here before, when we first found out we could go here. And they're not kidding when they call these things malformed. They're not what I wanted the wind dash to dodge away from, though. Earthquake for rights. That's not bad. That is a star ability, I believe, in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. So that's actually going to be kind of handy for combat for rights, probably. At least it'll expedite things. I'm curious to see, though, if any of the doors in this place are openable, because I kept getting chased away by these malformed horses from, like, everywhere in here. Because not only were they way faster than us before when I didn't have any speed, but they basically would one-tap me earlier on. Viola's playing now, so Viola should start finding a decent amount of stuff, because I saw a bunch of souls and things go out as the day went on. Because as you might imagine, everybody's logging in and doing their own games in their own time to get things done. Yeah, this vampire castle here is very interesting because there's a lot of weird experiments that went on here and just a lot of tragic things, honestly, from what I recall, but this game's loaded with tragedy. If you like tragic stories, boys, this game got your back for that. Very few people have had anything good happen to them in this world. Including us, considering we got chucked down this well and our hand got cut off when we tried to climb back up. That's why you only see this character using one hand, by the way. Our other hand's gone. It's also why we can't actually use, like, the shield we punch things with as a shield. Forgot about this, like, crazy light over here. I don't know if this is normally like this. Like, that lighting effect exists, but I don't think it's supposed to be there. Or vampiric ashes. Oh, and as you might guess from the vampiric ashes coming out of those, I'm pretty sure those are vampires that bad things happen to. Like, worse than the usual getting staked in the heart type bad things happen to. Another mana vial. I have lots of magic, just not a lot of health. As you can see, these hollowed husks just set themselves on fire when they die. They just explode. Well, and scream, but, you know, lots of things scream. Why wouldn't they scream when they die? For those wondering why sometimes this wand has no effect, and for those coming in late, this wand does a random element every time I wave it, in terms of its attacks. So sometimes it just rolls the element that these enemies are immune to. You know, unfortunate things can happen. Ice trap for Draconis. Hooray, this door's locked. I think this might be the wrong angle to try to use any of my vampiric symbols. Because the vampiric symbols are only good for certain doors in here. There's something on the other side of that door that wants to kill me. I'm just double checking there's no hidden doors here. Nope. Nope, there was one here. Because this was one of the places I heard something growling at me, so I'm like, is there something on the other side of that wall? Because this game loves its hidden walls, but it'll indicate with a question mark if there's a hidden wall somewhere when you look at it. So it's fairly generous about that. Just, you can also just mash E along the walls if you want to find secrets. They don't make them too difficult to get. Just, you do have to work for them a little bit. Yeah, that's the other one that was locked. That's got a husk on the other... Oh no, that's worse than a husk. You know, I'm glad that door's locked. The hell with what's on the other side of that door. We'll deal with that problem later. Is that the door I came in from, or is that the door I think that's the door I walked up to? No. That is the door I came in from, I think. Or it... A lot of this place does look a bit samey. No, we walked past these fountains when we came in. So that door is new if it goes anywhere, if I can even open it. Oh wait, open this first. Because this is a shortcut back to the room we did actually come in from. As you can see here. Let's see if this door opens. Nope, this door's locked too. Well, so the sealed ballroom is dead to me still. That is a big shame. Because I'm pretty sure all the doors past these phantoms we'd gone to before, because there wasn't very many of the horses over this side, so I was able to actually make it somewhere over here. Yeah, I think there's at least like one malformed horse over here, but it's only like the one. And I was able to blast it with magic. Because we do have access to a bunch of very powerful spells that I could be using instead of the wand. The wand's just consistent and easy to use because it doesn't take any mana and it's faster to charge than most of the powerful spells. I was gonna wrap at the 6-hour mark, but because we had a recent raid and there's still potential that things might happen here, I'm gonna keep going for a little bit longer. All these doors are locked. Is this a different room? No, this just looped around. Okay, that's what I thought. So the sealed ballroom is dead to us. That means the bad place that I'm thinking about might be my only other move. And that's bad news for me. That's very, very bad news. I gotta remember how I got there, though, is the other question mark. So I thought it was that door that led to the prison. It led to the prison. I was not expecting to have forgotten connecting points so quickly. Because one of the areas I jumped to led to Terminus Prison. Is the door on the surface leads Boiling Grotto. Jumping through the main room leads to here. Oh, I think it was the hub area jump then. Or was the hub area jump the surface? No, the hub area jump was the surface, wasn't it? I just showed that before. So does Wind Gust go up? I forget. No, Wind Gust only goes forward. That's what I thought. Okay, good. I have enough money to buy a couple of healing potions before I do what I'm going to do. You don't have anything new for me, right? Right, Demi? Nope. Demi's just being Demi. Standing around. We did gain some levels, though, which will help. The important part about intelligence for us is the fact that it makes spells charge faster. That purple bottle I have up there, by the way, that will increase my max mana, but it also fills my mana when I use it. That's why I'm hanging on to it. I'm going to use it as a full refill at some point and then get the more mana max from it. I'm just gonna double check to make sure that this is where I think it is, because my brain is doing weird things. Because I could have swore it was one of the places I carrion flighted to that was the prison. No, it's go up here to the Great Well surface and then jump down the hole. That's why I was thinking it was connected to there. Welcome to Terminus Prison. For anybody that hasn't been here, this place sucks. But we might be able to do this now. This place is populated by a lot of very angry giant skeletons that will fuck my shit up. This is why I wanted Wind Dash for this. Oh, it was just suds? Are you kidding me? Oh yeah, the dogs also slow you. They're what I wanted the healing potions for. Was to survive fighting them. Let's fail. I did not consider just how little the wand was gonna do to them. Burnt my 2 healing potions, not accomplishing much. Because the 2 checks we got were garbage. But I'm still very concerned that that is where I was supposed to be starting. Because you can get to it so early and easily. Now, there's a catch to that. There's a catch to that in terms of the logic that this has. Once my throat lets me get the words out properly. The catch being, I got a carrion flight in a way I wasn't supposed to. A carrion flight is one of the things that came from Wintergust's game that ended way sooner than anybody expected it to. Now there's 2 sides to that coin. The logic would be built expecting Wintergust's game to have received its Go Mode items quickly. In theory. It's impossible to be certain whether it would have taken that into account or not. And that's why I'm not sure I'm actually expected to be jumping up into there. Is both the rock spell that I use for making bridges and the carrion flight were both sphere 2 checks. So it's possible that Winter would have just gotten me my carrion flight pretty quickly in his world without him having completed. That is a possibility. As you can see, though, those big skeletons hit really hard. This is a very late game area. He's also still behind me. Oh, this is a dead end. I fumbled. You probably saw the light go on for the teleport spell, and I just did not manage to get my finger off of the spell button quick enough. Because you have to hold it till it charges and let go. For anybody wondering, my spells are on C and V. Because that's the vanilla keybinds for those. The tip of my finger was on V long enough, but I could not slide my finger well enough to release the input. So yeah. This is why I was dying so much before, and I'm going to continue to die. Potentially going in there. I'm going to try just this one more time. And I think this time we're going to try fighting. Because I have an idea. Because I have a very powerful spell at my disposal. Void Chasm. Void Chasm is a 30 mana spell that does like 500 damage. Problem is, it takes a little bit for it to do its damage because it's a pool you throw on the ground. But I'm figuring with the way they aggressively charge at me, it'll probably work itself out. Oh yeah, that's working. Especially if I supplement it with some wand shots. And this was the other thing I was worried about, is it might be in logic for me to fight in here way earlier than I would normally do so, because of Void Chasm being a spell we got pretty early on. And we did get a class that starts with decent intelligence. Not like remarkable intelligence, but decent intelligence in the form of the cleric. It's much like Dark Souls and things akin to that. You have a bunch of starting classes with different starting stats and everything. Some of which have extra effects, like the vampire can drink blood wine without being negatively impacted. Which, I had vampire, thief, knight, and cleric as my 4 class options. Like, I gave the randomizer a choice between the 4 of them. I set them all to 25%. And it chose cleric out of the 4. I would not have minded getting vampire, because I've never actually done I don't think I've done a vampire run. Vampire has a couple advantages, though. Vampire specifically can walk into the vampire castle without one of the symbols, from what I remember. Might even be multiple of the symbols are unnecessary, being a vampire. And you are able to use blood wine as a healing item. The blood wine being this, which we got 4 of, which is why I was like, I wonder if even the E-Logic wasn't sure whether I was gonna be a vampire or not when it did this part. See? Health if vampiric, otherwise poisonous. It's also just a junk item that it can send me. Junk items being just filler for when your game runs out of important items to send out into the various worlds, but it needs to put something there anyway. It'll just put a junk item, like health vials and things like that in my particular case. Though, it does send me a funny thing as well. Notice how I have 2 health vials? Notice how there's something different about this one? The fact that it ends in an I instead of an L? These are poison. Notice how the description also is weird. It ends in question marks, whereas this one ends in periods. These are sold to you by a particular NPC in an area, and you'll know that these are poison. Like, if you don't realize that these are poison, you did not read the dialogue at all. You did not pay any attention. Because the character that sells you these is incredibly suspicious sounding. Like, they are the most obviously going to betray you character I have seen in forever. I forget what the exact lines are, but it's pretty clear they're gonna mess with you. But they sell you these for stupid cheap. So you might not realize looking at it when you're buying it, like, oh, hey, these are health vials for real cheap. Drink one, poisoned. That's also why I have like 19 of them, because they were getting sent to me as junk checks. I believe they're junk classified, not trap classified. I have bleed traps, poison traps, curse traps like you saw. There is one trap floating around out there that I dread them finding. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just understand that it's something going to be very bad for me. And as a little Easter egg relating to when I played this game normally, it's something that genuinely I was afraid of when we had played the game normally. One of the very few things I feared in this game. You might be wondering why I'm fighting through this area so hard. We have a key that leads somewhere in this place. So I'm desperately trying to make forward progress in here, because I have to assume that they expect me to get somewhere in here. And that might open my game up massively. These things are also worth, like, tons of experience because they're dangerous enemies. All these places up there, by the way, you can fall down from there and end up down here. Here with the evil nightmare skeletons. I might actually jump up through here instead of taking the elevator. And that may sound stupid, but there's spikes at the top of the elevator from what I recall. So this is safer. Except for all of the death waiting for me up here. These are just basic skeletons and some obsidian skeletons. It could be way worse. I can at least outmaneuver the obsidian skeleton. The obsidian skeleton's just also very good at jump scaring you with the screaming that he does. You gotta be careful up here, though, because there is much worse things than skeletons in here. And I really wish I had kept the sword equipped instead of staying with the wand. Notice how the skeleton that I knocked the head off lost track of me, by the way? They actually are affected by losing in their heads. Even if it doesn't destroy them, they actually lose their ability to track as well as they would normally. But I can't open the menu to swap weapons because the game doesn't pause when you're in the menus. If the music here seems upsetting and, like, scary, that's because it's meant to be. This place is horrifying. As you might imagine, considering, you know, it's a prison. It's not a good place. And there's more reasons for this to be bad. 44, it's poison and lightning. That's neat, but not what I need. Just go with the... Oh, but the Mimic Sword's dark damage. That's probably gonna be bad in here, actually. Shitfire. This is slow, but it's lightning, so it might be a good choice. Before we do anything else, progressive Zerg melee attack for Winter Gust. That's actually probably quite good. This is where the elevator would have spat us out to, by the way. Notice how there's not really spikes, but there's a ceiling. You will just get crushed into that ceiling and die. I forgot whether it was spikes or a ceiling, but I remembered that I die if I go to the top of the elevator. So that's why we went around the elevator. Ordinarily, you're actually meant to ride down that, not up that. Let me put on Wind Dash, this part. Because if I encounter hostility here, yeah, those things, we're gonna need to fucking boogie. Problem is, I don't know what doors I can open. Can I open this door? Nope, sure can't. That's a door you're ordinarily not meant to be opening unless it's under very specific circumstances. So I'm not surprised I can't open that, but I needed to check. Let's just keep the dash ready to go. If I sound like I'm slightly on edge in here, that's because I am. Like, y'all have seen me play horror games and such and not be too particularly bothered. This area gets to me a bit. Like, not enough to make me scared, but it has me on edge. Like, ready for something bad to happen at any particular moment. Yeah, because we have the prison main door key. That's what I'm trying to get back to, is get back to the main door. Problem is, I don't have any healing. Yeah, the Skull of Josiah. I need to be able to get to the forest to do anything with this, I'm pretty sure. keeping beasts away. I don't remember what that does. Yeah, I don't think I have anything that'll heal me. Thankfully, those things aren't actually the problem. There's something else down here that is going to be a bigger problem if I run into it too much. Okay, good. I made it to an area not in there. Now, we have a different problem, and that is there's going to be more dogs running about that I'm going to have to deal with, potentially, unless I'm clever. That's what I remembered. Save point. Everything is on the table now. We're so fucking back. Because this means we don't need to worry about anything anymore. I can die 1,000 times and it won't fucking matter. I think I've jammed myself through here before. No, that's all invisible walls. Okay. But we are back in the main section of the prison. I can actually get to the main door from here. I just gotta be careful, is some of these cells have dogs. And I think the cells are open that have dogs in them. So the dogs can just come running out at me. There's also those gentlemen. They're less concerning than the dogs, honestly. Because not only are they much more susceptible to knockback than most, they're slow. Their whole thing is trying to set you on fire with that candle they have. They do like a fire breath thing with it. Expanded tool belt for Dyla Alright, which is a satisfactory game. And I don't mean that by it's a decent game, I mean it's the factory game satisfactory. There's 2 of those. Dyla and Dragon Dispatcher are both playing that separately. There's that, which I don't remember if I ever actually made any sense of what the hell the deal with that thing is. That's a thing that exists. I don't have the actual prison door keys, so I can't actually get into the cells, which is a shame because there's some checks there. I'm just gonna dash across. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, the main door's just up here, I think. Duh. Stupid me. You can tell when I'm, like, mildly stressed or nervous because I make much worse decisions. Where does this lead? Uh-huh. That's kind of what I was expecting. It was either going to be Yosei Forest or one of the other mid-game areas. I wasn't expecting an early game area here. Yeah, and this relies on either Rock Bridge or Carrion Flight. That makes sense. But especially when I got Josiah's skull, I was like, I'm going to Yosei Forest very soon. If you hear the wind whistling like that, that's because I am somewhere I shouldn't be standing. Because you can kind of wedge yourself on things, but if you hear the wind like that, you're probably not going to be allowed to jump. It's going to be your problem. It automatically places the bridges a little in front of me, so I have to actually go back a bit a lot of the time to make use of these. Oh, I fucked up again. Okay, we're just gonna use a Carrion Flight, because this place is small, and it is very hard to use the bridges in a good way here. But I didn't want to, like, go smashing into the ceiling like that. Job well done for Astral. Yeah, this is ordinarily a one-way path that sends you to Terminus Prison. Actually, is it Terminus Prison that you go to there? I think that's actually the vanilla door to Terminus Prison. It's either that or the Forlorn Tomb is down there. But this is a place where I can actually fight relatively safely. So I do think that I was actually, like, in logic intended to run through Terminus Prison to get here. Because this will probably connect me up to other places that I can actually go to. This place is really interesting. Not one of my favorites. That's reserved for a couple other places, specifically, that we'll find eventually. This place is cool. Like, it's a very weird forest, and there's one other clue in my spell list. Right here, Blood Drain. That clued me in that I was going to be going here. You might wonder, why Blood Drain? Why is Blood Drain a clue? There are plants here that if you spill blood on them, they open. They both give items, and they open passages. So, if you know the game, you get an idea that you're supposed to end up here by having things like Blood Drain. This is, I believe, like, the third area you're supposed to go to in normal order. Because I want to say it's Hollow Basin, Sewers, here is one of the paths you can take. There's more than one path you can end up taking. Especially if you do what I do and break things. Which is very easy to do with this game. Because even without a key, you can go to the library I mentioned before if you can get up there. And you can get Wind Dash pretty early. And you can just level up enough to be able to jump high enough to get up there, or run fast enough to ramp up, etc. Welcome to the more main part of Yosei Forest, where there's these fancy light deer and bunnies. The light deer are hostile, the bunnies are not. If you attack the bunnies, they will go hostile. The deer just exist in hostility, and they are immune to a lot of damage types. Oh, not a lot of damage types, specifically lightning, which is what I forgot. But yeah, these are Yakul, they're guardians of the forest. And they're very sad when they die, as one would expect. Yeah, the bunnies, as long as you don't bother them, they won't bother you. These butterfly things, on the other hand, the Lunagas, they'll bother you on sight. They're bastards. They're really cool looking. They're a bunch of bastards. They shoot like wind blades and such at you, from what I remember, and they're very good at knocking you off of the branches and such of Yosei Forest and killing you that way. They also, you know, fly, so unless you have a ranged weapon, they're a pain. It's kind of sad when you blast their wing off, though. I feel bad when I do that a little bit. You may notice I'm looking up, is there's something in a tree around here. I forget which tree it is, but it's in this little tunnel, little lower section that we're in right now. It's up in one of the trees around here somewheres. I believe you can just knock it down, but I usually jump for it. That's one of the plants that you bleed on. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that Blood Drain will drain your health when you use it, because you are actually draining your blood to do this. And these can take multiple hits. Notice how my health is coming back, though? You want to wait for the bleed to heal before you do it again, or you're just going to put yourself in a very awkward position of, hey, you're dying because you're stupid. Am I doing this wrong? Could have swore this was the right spell. I like aiming at the wrong spot? I could have swore these were one and done. There we go. Might just be that it needed multiple. Treasure chart 34 for Terra Agonis, who's playing Wind Waker. Terra's also playing one of the Emeralds and one of the Ocarina of Times, as well as my fellow Mario 64 player. These mushrooms are also sometimes going to drop a material. They drop, I believe it's literally just a yellow moral. Ooh, we got Ground Pound for Mario 64. Off of one of the other players. Yeah, Astral sent me that. Not big enough for me to immediately go for Mario 64. We'll save Mario 64 for tomorrow. But that is worth keeping in mind. Because I had only promised that I was going to get Lunacid checks and Ape Escape checks today. When I was talking in the Dragonpelago chat earlier. That one didn't work. Okay. Just gonna wait for my health to come back. But since I've gone over the time I had intended to, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get to the checkpoint here after I do these checks, and then we're going to end for the day. One of these, I believe, also opens a path. Like, I think one of them might, like, spit a vine up. So this one looks like it would be the one that would spit the vine upward. Yep, there it goes. There we go. You have to wait for it to finish fully forming. Now, be careful. You can fall off of that and fall all the way back down to probably your death. I say probably because there's no guarantee you would die, but here's the checkpoint. We're gonna check to see if we can open the door as well. Yeah, vine goes blah, 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 blah. Both the thing that make the vine go blah, 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 and the vine go blah, 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 blah. There's also a couple checks here, but I want to see if I have the key for this door. Nope, lower rickety bridge door key. Okay. That's a shame. Genius wing for Eevee. That I don't think is super useful. That's a static creasing item, I believe. I don't know if it's... I still can't remember which one is which for Eevee. Whether that's the Explorers of the Sky that she's doing, or if that's the black and white she's doing. I want to say the Genius Wing is in Explorers of the Sky, but I'm not certain. Since there's a bunch of stuff to grab, like, right up here, I'm gonna do that, of course. Because I forgot that was the shortcut until after I had said the we're ending thing. I would be remiss not to grab my immediate checks in range here. After all, I do not want to leave people hanging. Any of these could be a useful item. A lot of them aren't going to be, but any of them could be. Like 2 Titanite shards for Violet and some rings for Amalia. Neither of those are vital, but they are potentially useful. Destroying Angel. We already have a Destroying Angel mushroom, though I don't think I used it for any recipes yet successfully, so there's a chance having more than one of those will work out. I believe it's all of the vanilla recipes, but they just send different things other than what they would normally do, is how it works for this, as far as that goes. So if I remembered all the vanilla recipes, that would actually be a big boon, but I don't. I did all of the vanilla recipes once upon a time. It has been a long time since I've done them. I do know I need the yellow morals, though, because those were one of the parts of the healing potion recipe. You know, I could try to do this right now. We already hit the checkpoint, so if I die doing this, this is fine. I could also be smart and just rock bridge up. But that wouldn't be the funny option. Okay, I landed it. Notice there's light up there. Oop, stick the landing, stick the landing, stick the landing. Shit. That's gonna hurt. Okay, landed on a better one. Oh yeah, there's also a door there. I forget if up here is actually an exit. Let's find out. Nope, it isn't. Pain! Yep. And that's why a carrion flight is dangerous. This does mean I technically it didn't get those, like, I sent those checks, but they're gonna exist for me again. But they'll be empty items, so I don't need to worry about picking them up. Now I'm gonna be stubborn. I'm gonna go try to do that again. Now that I remember that it's not all the way at the top. But see, I touch that and nothing happens. Because that check's been sent out already. What I did lose, though, was the items I picked up in my own reality, like those yellow morals and such. Like, losing them is not the end of the world, it's just inconvenient. We could also go over here. You can tell I love this game. Like, I'm gonna stop. But what if I didn't? I'm gonna stop. What if I didn't? And I just keep doing more things. Especially now that I can actually do things. Oh, this was the door I died going to. Well, that solves that mystery, at least. Never mind. We're not going back there, because turns out we did unintentionally go back there. Huh. There is one other secondary area to this place. Like, there's 3 subsection. Well, no, 4 technically. There's a subsection to the area we came into this place from, and then there's a subsection attached to this area as well. The NPC I was talking about being in the one connected to the area we came in from. Which there's probably checks connected to going there and doing that whole thing as well. But that's something we can deal with tomorrow. That can easily be tomorrow's problem. Because the only time I will feel particularly bad about not getting checks is if somebody's actively sent out a hint and told me, hey, I need this from here. Those are things I will go and immediately do. For obvious reasons. Yeah, I didn't gain a level. Actually, on that note, let me check the tracker. Not the tracker you can see on screen. There's another tracker that lists out all the hints people have asked for, if anybody's gotten any hints. And I want to make sure that what I just said is not going to have come to pass, that, like, nobody's asked for a specific hint and just didn't tell me. Which, you know, if they didn't tell me, that's not my fault, but I'd rather look and know. This is not the right tracker. I will just do it the other way. Give me a second. I also just skim through the Dragonpelago chat. Oh, sweet. Somebody else actually put up the page I was looking for. Very good. Argo has apparently died 90 times in Ocarina of Time, so that's fun. Okay. People are chatting in here, but nobody has screamed, Drac, I need this thing from you. Go get it. Let me just skim through here. Is there anything that I am the finder of in here? Nope. I am not responsible for anything in the hint list. Very good. Okay, then we are going to go ahead and wrap up here. I will go find us a raid target, and we will move on with our day. Oh, boy. Well, what's left of my day? It's quite late at this point. Not the latest I've ever gone, but it's decently late. I need to go get something to eat. Definitely let my throat rest a bit, because it's starting to get a bit grouchy. And all of that good stuff. But we will be back to working on these things tomorrow. Like I said, I will probably be focusing more on Mario 64 at the very least for the beginning of it. And then we will probably do more stuff with Lunacid and Ape Escape, assuming items come in for Ape Escape by tomorrow morning. Well, tomorrow afternoon. It'll be 2 p.m. Eastern for anybody that doesn't know what my normal start time is. Of course, Daisy, and thank you again for the raid. We will be finding us a place to be as soon as I decide on one. I'm currently staring at the list and making choices. The only one I see currently live that's doing Dragonpelago, though, we raided yesterday. I may just be missing people in the list, or Twitch is doing dumb things, which is entirely possible. I see 4 people over in the call, but I might just not be following everybody because it wouldn't be the first time that I have forgotten to follow people, and it is very hard to keep track of following everybody. So we may just make do without raiding somebody that is doing Dragonpelago today, which is fine. But with the amount of raids I did get, I do want to at least raid someone. Just gotta make a decision. Decisions are hard. Tell you what, it's gonna be between those two, and I'm going to flip the coin and determine which of the two we end up with. Easy. Easier than me making decisions, haha. Which was it again? That one, and which was the... I've lost the other one. Thanks. Thanks, Brain. Thanks, Twitch. Both of you have conspired to fuck me up on this one. Is funny thing, and unless you are like actively looking at the lists, you won't know what I'm talking about. But Twitch does a funny thing where it shuffles your list around depending on how people's numbers change, or just Twitch has decided it wants to shuffle the list. Sometimes happens. So like if I'm looking at 2 people that are near each other, if I blink or like scroll at all or just sit there for a second, they might end up wildly apart. It'll be between those two. So let's see which one the coin decides. Okay. It has decided that is the answer. Understood. Okey-dokey. So we're gonna go raid Saber, who you all have seen me raid a decent amount, because Saber is one of my favorite people, because we have been through a decent amount together, or through a variety of incidents and things like that. We've not actually like worked together that y'all have seen, but there's been a bunch back and forth there. So they are one of the ones I can count on for sure. So, schedule coming up, just to get that all out of the way before I forget. Obviously, I already talked about tomorrow being more Archipelago. Monday, we continue Breath of Fire. Tuesday, we continue Dark Souls. Thursday, we continue... Well, no continuation on Thursday. We are joining a group for a bunch of demos. Now, there's an amendment I want to make to what I just said, because I just remembered what week it is. We may very well be getting derailed for Steam Next Fest. Steam Next Fest starts on the 23rd, which is that Monday. And you know me, I usually turn my entire week into Next Fest if I can. So that is worth keeping in mind. The schedule may change based on what the outlook for next fest it might be. Like, I would say more than likely I will keep Monday Breath of Fire. It's everything after that that's likely to change. Not because I want to dodge Dark Souls, even though it's going to seem like that, but because Monday's going to be the good day to set everything up for next fest. Because for those that don't know, very frequently next fest starts at 1 in the afternoon for me. And we go live at 2. So you can see the problem. I would have an hour to figure out some demos to play on Monday. So more than likely we'll keep schedule as normal for Monday, and then next fest is going to take over a lot of the week, in addition to doing Dragonpelago stuff. Because I'm going to still be doing my checks and getting my games moving and everything. Because people might be counting on my items. So expect most streams to either start or end with some Archipelago checks. Just to keep those moving. There's going to be a solid amount of that happening off camera too, though, so don't be surprised if I tell you, hey, this game's done. Or I say, like, hey, you missed a bunch of things, but we're going to go finish this game now. Because I want you guys to see the end of them since you saw the start of them. But there may be a bunch of in-between that you might miss. Depending on what checks I need to go get when and everything. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for all of the raids today. Be good to Saber, she's good people. And I will see you all hopefully tomorrow for all the shenanigans we'll get up to then. Good night, everybody.